All right, we're going to get started. Thank you all for coming out to the August 12th meeting of the Montgomery Township Board of Supervisors. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's so nice to see such a packed room. Item number 3, we have a couple announcements. National Night Out, Take 2. We're going to try again. We have rescheduled National Night Out to Tuesday, August 20th from 6 to 9 at the William F. Mall Park at Windlestray. We hope you will be able to come out and celebrate police and community partnerships. It's a great event every year, so please try to come out. Also, we have an August blood drive. We're hosting our summer blood drive on Wednesday, August 28th from 1 to 6 at the Community and Rec Center. Summer is critical for the blood supply. Please consider donating by signing up online or contacting the township for more info. Item number 4 is public comment. Persons wishing to make public comment during this meeting on any items not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. If there's any public comment, please come up and state your name and address. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Gaylord. This is my husband, Otto Gaylord. We were 109 Kelsey Drive. We wanted to make a comment about recent zoning board decision for 108 Cathedral Drive. 108 Cathedral Drive proposed variances to the code for an addition 5 times the size of the coding variance. The variance to the code was also for an addition that's 3 floors. The code says 1 floor. We have concerns about this zoning board decision, and we're just not clear what the next steps forward are in terms of the Board of Supervisors, in terms of the recommendation, if there's been a recommendation yet, because the minutes aren't posted online. The 108 Cathedral Drive neighbors are great people. There's nothing against them, but the issue is that this is going to be really not an addition, but 2 structures, almost two separate structures. If you see the architectural plans, it's going to be 3,400 square feet of an addition. The variance says allows 700 square feet. We're just asking the board to consider the number of emails sent by Kelsey Drive regarding this addition because it's much larger and will be the largest in the township. We abut to the property, so we would look back at this property. The reason we bought our house was because of the space behind the house, and we really love the property. And that's why we purchased our home in Montgomery Township, and that's being changed by this. We're also concerned because what happens when 108 Cathedral Drive residents go to sell the property? Anyone that purchases this property could actually separate it into a multi-family structure. We're in a residential neighborhood, not an apartment situation, right? And that's what will eventually happen here, could potentially happen. And so we just want to raise that concern and for you to consider the email sent, and we appreciate the board's responses to our emails, and also we appreciate your service too. So thank you.
Thanks for your comments. We understand the situation, and there are some ongoing conversations. Mm-hmm.
Harry Spicer, 111 Kelsey Drive, next door neighbors. So I want to support the Gaylords in their comments. But I also want to get some clarifications. Am I allowed to ask questions, or is it just make a comment?
I think you can ask a question if solicitor has the answer.
In Carolyn McQuarrie's email response back to me in this subject, she indicated that the board would be, supervisors board would be making some decisions going forward. What decisions rights do you have in this particular context?
You speak to our rights, please.
Yes, the Board of Supervisors actually sent the solicitor's office myself to oppose this application. So I was there that night, and we opposed the application and asked that it not be built because of the size concerns. As a result of that, The township has standing in this matter to file an appeal if the township wants to file an appeal of the zoning hearing board's decision. Now, in order to do that, the zoning hearing board has to come out with a written decision that we can look at, review, see if their findings are legitimate, um, and make that determination. That decision has not been released yet, but we would have 30 days from the date of that decision in order to make that determination.
So from a process standpoint, you have no direct chain of command. You have to go through a court of appeals
Correct.
to fight the decision that's made by the zoning board.
Correct. The Board of Supervisors is not a final veto over the zoning hearing board. They act
find that-
independently. And that's the way it is under the municipalities planning code in all of Pennsylvania. It has to be that way.
I understood.
Yeah.
I understand that. I find that amazing that we have appointed positions, not just in this township, but across the state, that aren't held accountable to anything except for going through in a court of appeals process. As you know, we elect supervisors. We don't elect, but we appoint zoning board people. And I think that's something I'm going to take away from this particular situation. The other thing I would like to bring forward, and first off, let me say, I support the board in filing an appeal and would ask an appeal to be made through the courts. Secondly, given the fact that, as the Gaylords mentioned, the variance was 700 square, over almost five times the number of square feet in the code, 2 times the number of entrances connected between the existing house and the new addition, and 3 floors instead of 1. That to me is significant difference in what the code is. And I would ask the board to consider removing 2 individuals that voted in favor of this through a misfeasance process. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you for your
comments.
feedback.
Any other public comment? Okay, we're going to move on. Item number 5, announcement of executive session.
Madam Chair, yes, the Board of Supervisors met in executive session earlier this evening at 6:30 p.m. to discuss 3 matters of active litigation. Topics discussed are legitimate subjects of an executive session under the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Sunshine Law.
Thank you. Item number 6 is our consent agenda. I'm going to move to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: minutes of the July 8th, 2024 board meeting, ratification of payment of bills for July 19th, 2024, payment of bills for August 12th, 2024, escrow release number 5 for Beer and Wine Mill Realty LP, escrow release number 3 and start of maintenance period for the Love Car Wash, escrow release number 10 for Westrom Development, escrow release number 1 for Baratia Learning Center.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Now, the part that we've all been waiting for, the swearing in of new police officers. Chief Bendick.
Good evening. On January 29, 2024, a recruit hiring process was initiated to fill vacancies within the police department's patrol division. 31 applicants completed for the position of recruit police officer in this hiring process. On March 17th of this year, a second recruit hiring process was initiated to fill vacancies within the department's patrol division. 23 applicants competed for the position of recruit police officer in this hiring process. These police department hiring processes include a written examination or a resume review, a physical agility test, 2 police oral review boards, and a background investigation, which consists of a polygraph examination, neighborhood interviews, and employer interviews. The 2 top candidates from each hiring process, Mason Strauss and Louis Ritchie, are before the board this evening for consideration for appointment to the position of recruit police officer. Mason is from Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and is a graduate of Downingtown West High School. He worked in the construction industry before completing his Act 120 certification from the Delaware County Police Academy this past June. Louis, he goes by Ray, and I'm going to mess this up at least once, okay? Ray Ricci is from Telford, PA, and graduated from Southern Area High School. He attended Gwinnett Mercy College and received his bachelor's of Science degree in criminal justice. This past June, he completed his Act 120 certification from the Montgomery County Police Academy. It is recommended that Mason and Louis be sworn in as police officers this evening. Once you do the resolution, I guess we can do the formal swearing in.
We'll do the resolution. Does anyone have any comments? I'll just say we're happy to welcome you. We love our police department and excited for you to be with such a great group of people in that department. Going to move to appoint Mason Strauss and Louis Ritchie as recruit police officers in the Montgomery Township Police Department effective August 13th, 2024.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Do some swearing in.
Bless
I'm gonna try to make this easy on you. You can see this as we're going, okay? I, Mason Strauss,
I, Mason Strauss,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of this Commonwealth,
of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and that I will enforce the laws
of the Commonwealth
of the Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Montgomery Township,
and the ordinances of Montgomery Township,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Sorry. Before we're done. Get that. And then we'll finish. Okay, oops. All right. I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will uphold,
that I will uphold,
obey, and enforce
obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
Nice work. All right, we'll just sign this. Over there and sign. Make it official. It's official now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Wow, we have to write center. 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you. Okay, have a picture. Don't get back. Thank you. Thank you. Ready, expired.
We're gonna be official. All right, you ready? Hand on the Bible. You good, Dad?
I'm good.
All right. I, Louis Ricci,
I, Louis Ritchie,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and that I will enforce the laws
of the Commonwealth
of the Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Montgomery Township,
and the ordinances of Montgomery Township,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will uphold,
that I will uphold,
obey,
obey,
and enforce the law
and enforce the law
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
There you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Three, two, one. There we go. I'll be in the back. More pictures. Thank you.
I need you to sign.
You're good, man. You got out.
Family members who came, you need to stay for the rest, you can leave, you don't want to stay.
I'll see you out there. Yes, ma'am. I will.
We'll just wait till everybody goes out and we can have quiet again.
It's not that much. It looks bigger.
It's a little scary. We'll just need one. Thank you.
I do, John.
It's got a big box there. All right, so number 8, review of proposed text amendment for 1008 Upper State Road. Marianne McConnell, Director of Planning and Zoning.
So, Mr. Dunleavy owns 2 adjacent parcels located at the corner of Horsham and Upper State Road, known as 1008 Upper State Road. In 2008, these properties, along with several other adjoining properties along Horsham Road, were rezoned from residential to BP, business professional, with a corresponding zoning text amendment creating Section 23083K special regulations, where a BP property abuts a residential zoning district. Mr. Mark Kaplan is here tonight as the Dunleavy's attorney to represent the Dunleavys and explain their proposed text amendment to this ordinance for their project.
Thank you. The Dunleavys have owned this property for a long time. They were involved in having the zoning changed to BP. I think it goes back to 2008. The property and going east from Upper State Road is zone BP. You go across the street, it's LI. In the existing district, and I think it's in the first document, is the petition that we filed, and we're limited to 5,000 square feet of office space. And in the simplest of terms, it's not worked. There's a long list in this petition of brokerage firms that the Dunleavys have employed. There have been multiple potential buyers. When I first got involved, Bruce Shoup was still here. I talked to Bruce. He had spoken to any number of these people, and they couldn't make it work. They couldn't make a 5,000 square foot building economically work with the improvements that are needed and the amount of space that would be generated. So I filed a petition to go to the zoning hearing board for variances And your staff, Caroline, Mary Ann said, wait a minute, why don't you just come in and talk first to the staff? It's a new day here in Montgomery Township. And we came in and I was sort of blown away. You had 7 or 8 township officials, the police, the engineers, everybody. And they were very, very helpful, listened to us about what the issues were. I guess traffic coming in off of Upper State Road. And it was suggested that we ask for not a zoning change, but an amendment to the text. And I prepared such an amendment, and it is, I think it's exhibit, it's the end of my petition. Let me find it for you. Yeah, it's exhibit B at the end of the petition. And it's really pretty simple. It says that in the BP district, where these special conditions apply, instead of having a maximum of a 5,000 square foot building, you can have a maximum of a 10,000 square foot building. We have 2 lots, one next to each other. Theoretically, you could put a 5,000 square foot building on each one of them. But because they're separate lots, then you have side yards between them. And 2 5,000 square foot office buildings has not worked in the market. So while we theoretically could get 10,000 square feet here, you can't get it in a configuration that will work. So you might want to look at the second, I think it's the second page of my petition. There's a Google map. I mean, it's right down the street. I'm sure everybody is very familiar with it. But to put it in context, we put the Google map, and you can see we've drawn lines, red lines around it so that you can see where it is. I guess that's the northeast corner of the intersection of Horsham Road and Upper State Road. So let me let you absorb some of that, and then I have more material that I'd like to show you, but I know I've thrown a whole lot of stuff, and if you want to take a minute or two to go through this, and then I'll show you what we think. Yeah, Chair Lady has got what I was going to get to.
Can you tell us what the plans for this clinic would be?
Yeah, so with our petition, the end of our petition, Exhibit C, is an aerial photograph with one layout of a building. You see that? It's a fold out at the end of the petition.
Well, there's 2 different options, I guess. One with a parking lot.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Yeah. We did this first alternative with the building up front before we had some developer input. We got some developer input, and the second alternative we think makes more sense from a development point of view, moving people around. But this is what we would expect to develop there. And then we've had enough developer interest that one of them had their architect prepare these couple of perspectives of what it would probably look like. And that's obviously, you're looking from Upper State Road. We think that there is a demand for some kind of standalone medical facility. And that's really it. Now, I have Jim Dietrich here, who's been our realtor. And if you thought that it was worthwhile to hear all, I'll call it the horror stories of how many people we've gone through trying to get somebody to buy it and develop it, you could hear that. I suspect you got a plenty to do tonight. But it's listed in one of the footnotes that just goes on and on. So we're here asking that you start the process of the possibility of a text amendment. However you would do that, I assume it would be referenced to a referral to the Planning Commission and maybe the County Planning Commission, if you're so inclined to help the Dunleavys turn this into an income-producing property that looks like it's a use that would serve the community.
So, Mr. Kaplan, it would start with a formal application.
Pardon me?
It would start with a formal application by the property owner.
Mary,
As a text amendment.
That's what I thought I filed, right here.
Well, no, the appropriate fees or escrow
Oh,
was not submitted. It initially started with a sketch plan, which we had suggested your options were either zoning hearing board or text amendment, and then you would proceed from there.
and that's, we have here a petition for zoning text amendment in the materials I sent you. We can just file that and we can.
Yeah, we were at the understanding you just wanted to get an idea how the board would feel about it before you filed any formal application.
Exactly.
So I have a question. Does your proposed medical clinic, are they aware that Penn Medicine is building a huge facility literally right down the road? I would hate for you to go through all this and they change their mind based on finding that out.
The developers that we've talked to know all about the Penn facility.
Okay.
There are so many different variations on medical theme and building today that, yes, they know about that.
Okay. Any other questions?
So which one is?
So you're just kind of testing the water, right?
Yeah.
To see, how we feel about, the use, this particular use in this location.
Well, it's more the size. The use is permitted. It's the size of the building that is not permitted. We're not asking for a zoning change in use. There are a wide variety of things that are permitted in the PB.
Mm-hmm.
We think from the interest that we've been getting from the development community, there's a high likelihood that this is a clinic building, something in the medical field.
And so these are the two examples of what it could possibly look like 10,000 or the 9,700.
It's
one.
9775.
9775.
Yeah, when we started to lay it out, you can only get the 9,700.
Okay.
Mr. Kaplan, you're proposing a medical use, but ultimately it may not be a medical use though, right? I mean, you're not going to covet the property for that.
John, absolutely. Absolutely. We have had very serious interest from developers for these standalone medical facilities, but I can't guarantee it. But the only change, I know I'm repeating myself, the only change we're asking for is, in essence, to take two little boxes that were next to each other and combine them. When you cut through everything, that's really what it is.
Has anyone talked to any of the neighbors to see if they would be in opposition? I mean, that'll come eventually anyway, but.
Our neighbors are all zoned the same way. I don't know.
Yeah, all the properties on Horsham Road is on PP.
Behind them is residential.
That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
behind